So our objective for this class, we just have two objectives. So first of all is about Linux. So are we're going to identify the features in Linux, and also we're going to look at the features in Mac OS. Okay, so let's start with Linux. So this is Linux right now. So for time's sake, we might not be able to take you to Linux environment and show you, but we'll just explain. We're going to have a separate class for Linux. So introduction to Linux, advanced Linux, we're going to do all those ones practical. So that's why you have to stay with our channel. All right, good. So but for this, I'll just explain. Then in our next, in some other class, in Linux class, then we can explain the command, do it practically, open the Linux environment, then you can be able to see. But for this, for the sake of the exam purpose, it's just all about explanation. Then if you want to learn more about Linux, we have a special class on Linux. Okay, so we've oftentimes heard about the share commands, share command, share command, share command. So that's share command. So basically, some of us we are used to command prompts. Some of us have been in tech, in IT for over more than 2 decades now. Some of us 10 decades, and some of us just 5 years experience in tech. So now, if you've been in IT for quite a while now, maybe more than 10 years experience in tech, you'll be familiar with MS-DOS command prompts. So command prompt back then, is where we normally do scripting from. Right, or you can do script, write a command, and you write a command and you automate it, you run it automatically, you automate the command. So those are what we use command to do. So many of the things we do to Windows back then, installation Windows OS, we might do it from command prompts back then, but now we do it on what, on the GUI, plug and play. Just put your software, automatically your system start run, then it starts following. Yes, back then, you have to do some command, create a Windows folder, copy the files, and set up and stuff like that. So the lot of technical work involved back then. So now, fast forward to today. Now let's fast forward, right? So if we fast forward to today now, we have what called a share command, right? Now, even though in Windows, we still have command prompt in Windows. So in Windows, for instance, you want to do some command prompt, you can go to command. From where we type command, it's going to take you to command. Now in Linux, we don't call it command, we call it shell, right? We call it shell. So the shell is similar to the command prompt we have in Microsoft Windows. So while in Linux we call it shell. So those are where we interpret command, right? So we interpret command, type command, and write a certain code. We want to run the program, just go to we call it bash, where you can be able to do some stuff like that, right? So now we also have terminal too. So the terminal is an interface that will lead you to shell. So what happens is that when you open Linux, you see, like we have, you see terminal here, right? You click on it. When you click on terminal, it does appearing on top of the screen. When you click on terminal, then you can be able to see shell and choose the shell command. Right, you can see shell, just an option, just open it like that. So now let's look at the Linux environment. So when you open Linux desktop environment, you're going to have all this. This is our desktop environment. So we're going to have typical example of all this. You're going to see all these ones, right? So this typically is the desktop environment where you're going to see all the desktop environment, right? So for Linux, then this one is more like the command, all these ones that you see where you come to execute command prompt and all like that. Right, okay. So again, we can switch between console. Switch between console means that you can be working on this place, from all of a sudden you can switch again to Windows environment, desktop environment, so you can be able to switch between console and the other. As well, Linux is very interesting. I love Linux so much. Linux is very interesting. Okay, so now there's some popular arguments, when you are working with command with shell command in Linux. So we have argument like one hyphen, double hyphen. We use all these We use them mostly when we're working. But let's take a look at this now. But you have to understand something. Take a look. Linux is case sensitive. Linux is case sensitive. So if you're meant to type capital letter L, I type small letter L, you're going to get a wrong command. So Linux is very much case sensitive. Linux, apart from being case sensitive, you must be attentive to every letters. So you miss one letter, then your command is going to run. So you have to be very attentive to Linux. So let's look at getting help. Now, getting help, there's a command called the man command. Now, it just gives you details of a specific command that you want to run. Tells you more about it. Like we say, tells you more about the command. If, for instance, now you're going to run a print command, you can type man, then put the space and say print. So you're going to tell you about that print. You're going to tell you more about print command, right? Then of course file editor, just like we have Microsoft Word, where you can edit documents, type and stuff like that. In Linux environment, you will not see Microsoft Word. All you see is Nano, VI, Vim. Those are text environment where you can go and make modification to affect Linux. So the Nano is where we do editing, just like in the text environment, you can simplify, make simplification, modification, addition, correction. So those are the Linux that affects the Linux systems you are using. What kind of distribution, Linux distribution you have, you're gonna affect it. So when I talk about Linux distribution, I'm talking about different version of Linux. If you hear anybody talk about Linux distribution, they are talking about the version of Linux, so that different version of Linux, right? Okay, so good. So let's see now. So we talk about command shell. So this is how many command shell you're gonna have. When you run Linux, you see some of this popular command you'll be seeing. For instance, now, in Windows environment, we are used to folder, GUI. So if you want to open a folder, or you want to open a Windows folder and see the content, but when you want to open document and see the content, you go to what document, and when you click on document, double click, you're going to see all the content in what document, right? Now in desktop environment, in Linux environment, you don't want to see that. What you see, we output commands, right? So if I want to see all the the current directory, for instance, now I'm I'm working Linux, I'm in a specific directory, right? Now, and I really don't know what directory I'm in, right? Unlike desktop environment, you know that if I'm in desktop environment, if you open a document, right, you could trace it that you are in so directory. You could trace it from the menu, you see it, you trace it that okay, this is the root directory, this is where I am. So in Linux, you're not going to see that. What you have to do is to do what called PWD. It's called print current directory. So that what is talking about, print current directory, right? That's what it means. Print current directory. Here is appearing as list current directory. It's the same thing. So it's going to show you the current directory where you are working currently, right? Then CD is to change directory. So a CD space, maybe you want to change, maybe you are on the Windows, you want to move to a document directory, just like CD, you're going to change, and CD and name of the directory, you're going to change to that directory. It's similar to Windows environment, Windows command prompt, right? Then list directory content. If you are in document, you are in a particular directory, probably you are in document directory, and you want to see all the the content of document directory or what's inside document directory, what you have to do, just type while you're on document directory, you CD space document, it takes to the document directory, then type ls. ls is going to list every information inside the document directory, small letter L and small letter S, right? Good. Then the cat command display output of the content. So typically you want to see if you have files, you have a file, I want to see the content of that file, you can use the cat command. Maybe for instance, the name of the file could be example.txt, right? All you have to do is cat space example.txt, enter. It's going to list the content of that file for you. So like I said, because of time, we might not have time to be looking at these things practically. So we're going to have a special session. We're going to have a special session for Linux So I want to encourage you that you stay glued to our channel, subscribe to our channel, right? So when you subscribe to our channel, we're going to give you all these things, full training for Linux training, how to do so many things on Linux, all these command, practical how to do them. You're going to start from beginning, Linux from beginners and up to advanced level. So I advise you to stick to our channel, right? Okay. So now we also have file search to too. So how we can, similar to Windows, when you search for a command, you can go to the help button or search button, just type what you're searching for. In Linux, we'll have tools called grep. It's to search for file content and everything, right? That one is for grep search command. Now we also have the copy command. So cp is the copy. If you know by cp is to copy files, right? Env is to move files, right? Arrow is to rename. Then this slash arrow there, is to do, you want to rename everything, both maybe in a folder. So you want to rename everything, you want to rename a folder. I'm sorry. What I'm saying is that if you're working in a current directory, right? Arrow means to remove, not actually rename. It means to remove, not to rename, right? So you want to remove, want to delete, you can use the arrow command. Then the hyphen, there we see hyphen arrow there. The hyphen arrow, what it stands for, is just a way to, the hyphen is just a way to, like, okay, you want to delete everything in the folder, both the sub content, everything. That's the hyphen is there, what it stands for. So you go to wipe out everything in the folder, both sub and sub folder, everything will clear them for you. Then df and du command. So these are just simply spaces. So you want to see the space of your, your disk space, the space you have, the usage of your hard drive, and and on and on. So you're going to use df and du. So just to give you space, so I can see the space that is being used. Okay. So on and on, we have su switch user account. So the switch user, meanwhile, we need to look at this root and super user account. Very important. A super user and root account, they are like the word, look at the word super user, they are administrative accounts. So if you are using the root account anytime, super user account, it means that what you are the how do I say it, like the the administrator of the system, like the owner of the computer, the owner of the system, right? So you have all the powers. You could do whatever you want to do. You could create a new account, delete files, delete folder, create new folder, create group. You could do so many things, right? Install applications and on and on. Install apps and so many things you could do, because you are a super user. So super user, they want to have the administrative privilege. Same with the root account too. So if you have the root account, it means you could do all those things we just said now. Right? Then the sc command. Sc command is a switch user. So maybe you are in one account, maybe you are in some account, you want to switch to another account, just type su, space hyphen the name of the account. So if you are in some account, you want to switch to root account, all you have to do is just type, elfin, when you're in some account, type su, then of course the name of what the user is switching to. The sudo account. So sudo account is, if you don't have if your account is not administrative privilege, right? If your account is not a root account and it's not a super user account, so which means that every time you need to do some administrative work, you must use all the sudo account. You must use the sudo command rather. Not the sudo command is a command that gives administrative privilege, right? It's an unlimited account, so it gives unlimited privileges. So we call it unlimited privilege. So you could do similar work the super user account is doing. So if, for instance, now you want to update your Linux, all you have to do is type what sudo update, then the way you're updating Linux, what you want to update, right? What other pack you want to update, just sudo update, then it's going to start updating. Right, good. Then we also have some interesting accounts too, like if you want to add the user account, this is what you're going to use to add the user. Want to modify user account, this is what you use, user mode. You want to delete user account, all these are interesting commands too. Then same with group, you go add group, modify group, delete group, right? They're all the same, similar thing. Okay, let's continue. So another interesting topic now we need to understand is what called the permission account. Permission. permission commands, right? Now, the permission command, it only tells you what privilege you have to use a file, on the system. Because the reason why we are learning all these things is to what use the system, create files, manage programs, and create folders and on and on. Then give them privileges. Now, it is of no use, right? When you have a system, in place in an organization, and the extent of the system is to provide user access to files, and people cannot have access to those files. It's of no use, right? So now, how do we make it useful? It's all about what the permission, the file permission. So when we look now, we notice that we have arrow wx, arrow x, arrow, right? So now in Linux we have three set of permission. So the first one is the read permission, the second one is the write permission, and the third one is what we have: read permission, write permission, and execute permission. So these are the three permissions we have. Again, read permission, write permission, and execute. So Linux has three permission: read permission, read permission, write permission, and execute permission. So these are the three permission Linux has, right? And Linux is divided into three rows. There are three rows in Linux. So the first row there is the owner of the file. The owner who created that file is the owner, which you only call the user, the user. So it's represented as the U. Then the other one is a group. So the group means that which group that the user belongs to, right? So that's the group. So the group. So if the user belongs to a group and that group has access to that file, whatever privilege you have to that file, then you're gonna have it away. And also we also have the everyone, every other person. So these are the three rules we have. So we have the first one, like I said, the user, the group, and every other person. So these are the three rules we have, right? Okay. So now I know it's difficult for you to understand. Don't worry. Stick to our channel. We're going to break all this thing down. We're going to break it down. We're going to tell you more about all these things. We're going to tell you more about Linux commands, how to do these things we just explained now. How to be able to give permission, how to revoke permission, grant permission, delete permission. We're going to tell you all those things, right? Okay. Now, so Linux permission is very different from Windows permission. So Windows has several ways that it can give permission. Now, we have just the numeric method of assigning permission. We also have another way of doing that, towards the addition method, like using addition, subtraction method. We have those ones like the alphabetical method of Linux. But for today now, we're going to focus more on the numerical method, right? Okay, so don't forget, we told you that Linux has three sets of permission. So the read permission, the write permission, and execute permission. Now the first one is the read permission, and it's also represented by a number called 4 at a time. The write permission is represented by a number called 2, while execute is represented by a number called 1. Right? Okay. Now that means that if you look at what we have on the screen now, so right now you see as what we have on the screen now, we have read, write, and execute. So how do we interpret this? Okay, let's look at this one now. This one say 0754. What kind of permission is this? Meanwhile, you can understand that, right? Read has 4, write has 2, execute has 1. So we can interpret this one just 0. 0 is nothing. We always know when we see 0 for anything, just ignore it, right? So we'll forget about the 0. Let's focus on the 7. So read, write, execute. So what we have here now, we have 4, 2, and 1. So if you had all this now, you're going to have read as 4, write as 2, 1. That gives you 7. That means the first one here, which is the user, we said the first one is user, group, and what? Every other person, others. So here now we have 7, which means this user has read permission, write permission, and execute. So it's RWA for this user. That we see here now. The 5, right? So you see 5, which means for this one now, 5, we're going to say 4 plus 1. That means the group has what? The group has what? Read permission and what? Execute permission. That's what the group has. Remember, this first one is what? The user and the group and what? Every other person. Yes, 4. That means every other person just have read permission to that file. See, every other person read permission. So this is how to interpret, this is how to interpret file permission in Linux. Like I said, stick to our channel. We're going to tell you more about Linux. Okay, so let's move on. So we also have the CHOMT. So it's just to modify permission. So you will change all this permission, right? We'll change them, all this permission. Maybe this is the first one now. We could put this one. There's a little, not like 8 there. So you could call this one. We can change it to 5. This 7 5 7 4. So you change this 5. This 7 to 5 means that you only have what? Reads and executes. So that will give you 5. Yeah, read and 4 and 1 5. Then 7, if you have 7 here now, like we're trying to describe, if you have 7 here now, that means you're going to have what? If you have 7 here, you're going to have, let's see, if I have 7 here, you're going to have 7, I'm going to have all read, write, execute, right? So similar to 4, 4 is just read permission. So this is how to actually change the permission, right? Okay, good. So finally, here we have file ownership. So file ownership means is how you can change the ownership of the file. For instance, if a user work with the file today, right, and create a file called Excel file, and save the file, so the file is Excel file, right? So if I need to claim, ownership of that file, all I have to do is to change the ownership by using this command. So I just have to say CHOWN space, right? Then I'm going to type my name. My name will now follow. My name is Sam space, the name of the file, Excel file.exe. So it changes everything now to my name. So it means I'm not doing a file. So this is to change the group, right? CH group is to change the group of the file. So that's what does mean. So the same way you change the group of the file too, same way. We'll do this on particular, right? So now here we have, these are what we have here now. Just how to update your package, how to install packages in Linux. So the update command is just what we normally use to install packages and modify packages, upgrade, and this is what we use. This one is similar to these two, check, update, and so the check, update, install. So they are also similar, but we use more of the apt-get command more. The antivirus command here too is like you're trying to set up antivirus and see. So that way the antivirus command is used for. Okay, good. So in Windows environment, there's what called Task Manager. In Windows environment, so Task Manager will tell you about the tasks, the running processes that are going on, what are all the processes that are on, what are the size of the memory, who is using what space on the hard drive, what application is running, what size of memory are they using to run, so you're going to get all that in Windows environment through Task Manager. In Linux, we have a separate command for that. So I can use to do that. It's called PS command, which is the process command. So down, if you run PS, on your Linux command, on Linux type PS, to just take it to all the running processes on the system, like you see here now. See, process identifier, all these ones, time and everything. So you could look at all these things and be good. If you try to troubleshoot your system, you know what it's about, you can be able to trace it from this way. So this is what we're trying to say. So this is process monitoring command. So here you can see the users who are here. These are users, see what is free, they're going to give you more information, right, about the the processes that are on, and more and more and more. So okay, we have more command now. So we have the IP command, right? So the IP command basically is what we use to check the configuration of our network, right? So that is the IP command. So report configuration and apply non-persistent changes. So then we have the D command. The D command is a command to perform resolution, new resolution. If, for instance, you want to know the DNS of your server like that. It's the command I'll give you, and both even subdomain. So you're going to list all the domain and even subdomain. That's what the D command is for. Then we have the Samba. Samba is actually for file sharing with Windows. So you want to share a file with Windows, right? It's the Samba command you use. So I have Linux command, I have Linux OS, and I have Microsoft, and both of them are in the organization. So by default, Linux and Windows are not compatible; they can't work together, right? But when you have to have Linux access Windows file and Windows access Linux file, you must need to install on Linux. You must need to install this, or rather, you must set up the protocol on Linux. Samba enable it. Most times is if you're going to set it up Samba. So it's just a process well for us to do that. So with that one now, you're going to have Linux and Windows have an handshake. They can be able to share files using another. So someone for Linux can access a Windows file. You understand that, and vice versa. So that is Samba command. So backup utility. So this compressor is just to do compress a file. So trying to compress the file, you need to reduce the size of the file. It's a compressor command. Backup products, you must backup. Task scheduler. Now, in Linux, you're not going to see task scheduler. What you see is going to say cron. So CRON. That we're going to see, So that is it. Okay, so let's move to 15B. So this time we'll look at identify features of Mac. We are done with Linux. Let's look at macOS. So similar thing. So your macOS, you're going to have the menu bar, the search terminal for command, on and on. So it's similar to what we explained earlier, right? So let's see now. So this is typically how your Apple is if you use Apple. So you're going to see several applications running, the app ID and stuff like that, right? So these are these. So you can be able to this is security and user management. Apple ID, these are just information more like you could see information about your security about your iPhone you're using, right? And on and on. So no need to spend much time here. Let's move on. Then Founder and iCloud, right? So you want to make some some cloud transfer, you want to start your files online. This way you can able to get that. So app installation and management. So we need to understand how do we install app. So in Apple we have the App Store that will install Apple, right? So in Linux we can do it in several ways. We can use the package format, DMG, PKG, for our installation. Those are technical anyway. The app installation, device, corporate restriction, all those are very important, right? Okay. So I will have the opportunity to update. So how do you update OS in Linux? Straightforward, right? So you just find a way to go to software updates and updates now. We know update means you're going to install the latest security features, the latest patches, the latest vulnerabilities, everything you want to set up on your system, right? And to make your OS more resilient to any kind of any form of attack. Okay. So device network settings. Right, so the same way you set an IP address to, you can go to your Wi-Fi TCP, then you can look at the IP addresses. So here we are using your DCP, right? So you understand that we're using here DCP. So because it's automatic, so here you're just, it's a server. What am I saying? Because it's not actually what I'm trying to say is that because you can see in this place that it's just like it's having a server. You have to put IP address and the rest. So the same way. So this one now is just acting like a server. Like I'm trying to explain, just like a server. Because why? It's going to allow other system look at the word, configure DCP, IP addresses, subnet mask, default. So everybody's going to come through it to this one because this is like a backdoor, a boundary for every other person to go out. All right. So. Okay, so this is that teaser. Okay, let's continue, right? So this year we have the backup, time machine backup, and on and on. Automatic backup to external hard drive or partition. So this one you have. If you run this command, means you want to do backup from your system to a kind of system. Okay, so let's continue. So I think we are coming to an end to these clauses. troubleshooting crash and boot issues. So Apple crash and force quit. So what do you need to do? Say press command option escape. So it's going to give you information. The recovery menu. So on and on. Okay, so that is the end of our class. Thank you for listening. I look forward to see you in our next class. Bye.